With people talking about Kids in the Hall or how Saturday Night Live has gone to the shitter, I realized there was one sketch comedy group that no one really ever talked about, and one that I really wish I knew about in junior high. And that's White as Kids You Know. White as Kids You Know is a sketch comedy group that formed because of 9/11 and ended because of the death of the group leader, Trevor Moore. They talk about everything from Hitler rapping.
The name is A, and I'm back in command, cause I'm the illest Führer representing Deutschland.
To the feminine struggle.
Bachelor number 1. If you were a hammer, how would I use you?
You could use me to fuck the shit out of you. You could take me out of your toolbox, and we would just fuck. Like all night long. I want to do you so hard.
To the best business practices.
What I'm saying is 5% domestic, 1% international, and that's my final offer.
And I want to spend this video talking about why I think they are the best sketch comedy group and why everyone should watch all of their sketches. Now, there are some videos of theirs that have millions of views on YouTube, or some sketches that have millions of views on YouTube, but for the most part, most sketches have under 1 million views, and I've never really heard anyone talk about or meme at all. Comes into my first point here, which is they have amazing memeability, which is a word I absolutely hate saying. But honestly, it works perfectly because I have no idea why no one uses their sketches as memes. Here are just some of the examples I came up with off the top of my head, as I've watched 2 seasons of the show in the last day, and I think that... So I have some of my favorite ones in mind here. When someone does a terrible play in a game.
Ask your doctor about suicide.
When someone says the N-word.
It's illegal. It's a federal offense. It's one of the only sentences that you're not allowed to say. Now, it was okay for me to say it right then because I was just telling you that it's illegal to say.
When someone is being blasphemous.
Uh-oh, Bob, he's getting Jesus involved. Better hurry. It takes Jesus 4.5 seconds to get to Earth.
When someone, at any point ever, says something about a gallon.
Wow! A gallon!
When someone misses something super obvious in a video game.
Okay, you are pretty much completely blind.
Really?
Yeah, I'm surprised you haven't noticed this before.
I'm not sure exactly where you would use this one, but when you have the opportunity, you know exactly when to use this.
I ain't sad.
Then let me see your mood ring.
When someone's mad in a video game.
I'm going to rape you!
When someone says an innuendo.
Oh, no! No. What? Oh. I'm sorry. Sir, get your mind out of the gutter.
You know where we're going with that. I'm happy I'm laughing through some of these. The absurd is the most wildly used type of sketch that the White as Kids You Know uses. I would say it's probably like 90+% of all of their sketches. And they have kind of two different things they do with absurdity. In the worlds that they create for every one of their sketches, there is a single sane person in the world and everyone else in the world is an absolute psychopath, or my more favorite type of absurd sketch, where it's the real world, but there's one insane person. Those sketches I find are a lot more fun, as they feel much more real than a lot of the other sketches. Because I worked in customer service for a while, and some of these scenes, when you're watching these people, just like, you're watching these actors that are just playing regular people, but they're trying to interact with this person that's absolutely batshit crazy. And it just reminds me of the one time where I was working customer service, and there was a person that was trying to return a lawnmower, and they were getting really angry at me. They were just screaming. And I had to explain to them that they need to bring the lawnmower to the store for them to return it. I feel like that just reading that brought up like past trauma. Whitest Kids You Know also like to talk about actual issues while making fun of them. They will talk about things like how ridiculous the arguments about gun control are.
Say you tracked this big buck to the outskirts of town and you found that he'd made himself a makeshift home in the bottom of an abandoned warehouse. With a handgun, you could easily sneak up on him and get a death shot. That way he won't be running around with your daughter anymore and filling her head with ridiculous ideas and corrupting her character.
Even though in the commentaries, they talk about how much a lot of them actually like guns, but they still want to talk about how ridiculous some of the arguments are. Or they will talk about how they will make fun of the police force and why you should join them, because the police totally follow all of the rules and there's nothing sketchy about them at all.
So join the police force to serve, protect, and to control the poor.
And this one isn't as relevant, but I still kind of liked it. They talked about how manatees are hit by motorboats a lot, which I think is a very dated reference that I think is kind of funny, because like I remember in like junior high, it was like a big thing that people talked about was how manatees constantly got hit by motorboats and they were like on the endangered species list. But I think they're doing pretty good now, so I don't even think they're on the list anymore. So I think it feels like a very dated reference, that or it's just not brought up anymore. They're okay with incomplete sketches. And that kind of sounds weird, but let me explain. Sometimes in a show, you can see the point where the writer doesn't know what they're doing, and then they just decide to just have this weird or just kind of sad or terrible ending that just, like, it brings the scene from, like, a 9 back to, like, a 5, where it just kind of totally tanks it and ruins the momentum of the scene. Whitest Kids You Know is okay with that, but I think they realize when they have no idea how to end the scene, so they just completely change the scene and they change what's going on 100%. Like this scene about ex-boyfriends, where you have one character that is going to all of the houses of the person that he's dating and trying to beat up their ex-boyfriends. And it's just, every time he asks a question about like things they did together, he gets angry and starts screaming and fighting and breaking things. But then I think at a certain point they realized there's no good way of ending the scene. So what they do is they just break character and start shilling their DVDs while having a topless girl just jump around in the foreground.
The DVD sales. Megan, if you don't mind.
The next thing, the songs are amazing. Trevor Moore, again, the kind of leader of the group, he is actually just an amazing artist. Like, he makes really good music. Here's my list of some of my favorite songs. Hitler Rap, which is literally the second sketch ever on the show. Smoking Weed with Dinosaurs. I don't actually know the name of the sketch, I just know it's talking about how one guy's smoking weed with dinosaurs and he wants to be the first person to write a rap song about smoking weed with dinosaurs. He wants to be in the Guinness Book of World Records. And it's a pretty good song.
Just getting stoned tonight. I'll smoke a spliff tonight. I'll smoke a spliff tonight. Me and these dinosaurs is getting friggin' ripped tonight.
Get a New Daddy, which will come up later, but it talks about how you can get a new dad. He's singing to kids, and he's talking about how if you don't like your dad, you can just tell your teachers that your dad touches you, and then you can get him sent to prison, and then your mom will get a new dad. It'll be great.
A new daddy, get a new daddy. Stay up real late, kick back and light up a fatty.
Another song that I think is in the first episode of the show called Let's Wake Up Your Neighbors, and it's just about playing loud music early in the morning. And it even, like, throughout the song, he mentions adding, like, air horns into the song just to make it more annoying and more abrasive to people, to waking up people.
Saturday morning, but I'm awake and I got a boombox, yo. Let's wake up your neighbors. Time to wake up your neighbors.
Old Folks Home. This is one that I think it's the last thing ever posted to their official channel. But it talks about how you should go to your grandparents' house or retirement home, and you just should, because they'll have lots of drugs. It talks about how his grandma has a prescription for OxyContin, and now all of his friends go to the old folks' home, and they just like to get drugged up. I forgot to say this during recording, but also this song is super sweet, as it talks about how they're all sad when all the people die, but they're excited because new old people will always show up, and it's nice to hang out with old people because they're people too.
Gramps got a prescription of OxyContin? Let's go to the old folks home. We can get doped up and then all get stoned.
Then there's some of the much more dark songs, which Get a New Daddy's definitely in there. I just didn't order this correctly. Then there's We're Gonna Make Love Till You Wake Up, which is it's just a song about date rape, and it's super dark, but again, it's done in this like rom-com way that's super fun to listen to.
What a slipped in your drink, baby. We gon' make love until you wake up. We gon' make love until you wake up.
Or the Never song, which literally describes how to make crystal meth to children.
I go to a farming store and then buy pH strips and PVC pipes. Those fuel cans that make outdoor grills, like that's how you make crystal meth.
And that song actually goes right into my next point of they will talk to kids about anything.
It's Little Hitler!
On their Twitch channel, they actually talked about how they could, as long as they paid each kid's parents about $150, they could say anything to the kids, and the parents did not care. And it goes absolutely insane. Or they can say anything to the kids, or they can do anything to the kids. Besides harming them, of course. But then there's sketches where it's like, there's one where Trevor is talking about, telling the kids about conspiracy theories, talking about how the moon landing was faked, 9/11 was faked, and literally in front of the kids he talks about how George Bush Jr. masturbated in front of George Bush Sr. And he describes it like pretty in detail.
President Bush worships Satan?
In my personal opinion, absolutely. And one of the Skull and Bones initiation rituals is that to get in, you have to lie naked in a coffin and masturbate in front of the older members. But the really messed up thing is that since former President Bush, Bush Sr., was also a member, he requested to be there to watch his son's initiation. So he watched his own son masturbate.
As I mentioned, the songs, they tell kids how to make crystal meth and get the kids to actually, like, I think they even sing along, like, that's how you make crystal meth. And they advertise kids beer to kids, and like they have the kids literally like chugging like from bottles of beer. They give a kid a cigarette and a gun like this like 2-year-old child. He's holding a gun with and the dad just keeps going like, oh, here, put on my sunglasses. Here, have a cigarette. You look so cool. And it's great. They just somehow got away with just doing whatever as long as they gave the kid's parents a little bit of money. Parody. Parody is a thing that sketch comedy always loves. I didn't finish the sentence when writing. What was I gonna say? Parody is a thing that sketch comedy loves, and it makes sense. Like, you just take a character and you just change them to be like making fun of it. It just ends up being references. Sometimes it can get dated depending on the reference, but it's just references. And as they talked about when they made a sketch called The Jizzle, which is just a ShamWow parody, it's easy. It's literally like the exact same commercial, just changing the words, and instead of talking about ShamWow and how it can soak up water, it talks about how it can soak up cum. Or they have parodies of just like superheroes, where they have Whip Boy, and it's just a guy who's just flailing a whip around through the entire scene, and it's super awkward. Or one of my favorites is a parody of Super Size Me.
Hi, I'm Trevor Moore, and I just saw the hit documentary Super Size Me, where filmmaker Morgan Spurlock ate nothing but McDonald's fast food for 30 days to see if it really is healthy to live on such a diet. Well, today, I'm going to try the exact same thing, except with whiskey.
And it's great because at the beginning of the sketch, he calls, I think it's Jack Daniels, and he's talking to the rep, and he's like, yeah, so I'm going to be drinking nothing but whiskey. I'm not going to be eating or drinking. I'm only going to be having whiskey for 30 days. And the person's like, no, that's a terrible idea. He's like, why do you do that in the commercials then? Why do you tell us to do that in the commercials? And it's just ridiculous.
Whatever.
And then I want to talk about one more of my favorite parodies, which is called Wheel of Money.
Wheel of Money!
And it's just a parody of Wheel of Fortune, but it's like, it exists in a world where Wheel of Fortune does exist, and the host is trying to keep it unique enough to not get, like, copyright striked. They don't want to be taken down by by whatever, I don't know, entity has the rights to Wheel of Fortune. So throughout the entire scene, the host just keeps getting notes from PAs to make it more unique. Or the audience keeps chanting Wheel of Money the same way people say Wheel of Fortune, and he's trying to stop that. And then it ends with everyone dying.
Go to camera 2! Go to camera 3! Quick, camera 1! Oh my god! Sir, they're all dead! Well, just keep jumping around as fast as you can! If we don't fill up 22 minutes, we'll never get picked up!
There are like 5 seasons of this show, and it's all pure gold. All episodes are on YouTube somewhere. And watch it all. It's all gold. I want to say thank you if you actually made it to the end of the video, and if you did, I'm going to reward you with 30 seconds of Timmy dancing.
Ladies and gentlemen, Timmy Dance!